There are lots of ways that you can explore the Shenandoah region and the Shenandoah River, and one of them is Shenandoah River Outfitters, and we're going to take a full deep dive and explore everything that Shenandoah River Outfitters has to offer to help you decide if going there is worth your time and your money. If you have never explored the Shenandoah region before, then you are in for a treat, because just the scenery, the green, the roadways, the rolling hills, the lush landscape, everything is just so beautiful. If you have a car that's a stick shift, driving here is going to be a delight. So let's talk about Shenandoah River Outfitters, and you can see the Shenandoah River right here. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a pretty large river. You'll see some other rivers in Virginia, in West Virginia especially, that has, whitewater rapids and all that kind of stuff. That's not the Shenandoah River. It's relatively calm. You're not going to find a tremendous amount of rapids, but there are lots of different ways and companies that will give you opportunities to explore it. And then one of the more popular ones is going to be Shenandoah River Outfitters, and this is what the entrance of that area looks like. You see the buses. This is the main visitor center where they have you check in, and they have a lot of things that can help you understand what there is to do and see in the region. There's not much to see in the visitor center. They have a lot of shirts for you if you want to buy that kind of stuff, but this is where you pretty much check in to get on the river. And I got to say, their check-in system is a bit, in my opinion, archaic. It's a lot of handwriting and stuff like that, not very electronically advanced, but they get the job done. There is firewood for sale at the visitor center as well as ice. And if you don't want to stay here, you don't have to. If you just want to get on the river for a day, you can come in, do the river, and go right back home. It's not too far from the DC metro area. You can do it definitely in one day. You just have to leave really early. But this is what the briefing looks like. And the reason why they do the briefing is because if something happens to you on the river, they don't want to be responsible. But in order to get on the river, you have to get through the briefing. Let's take a look at the campsite, and this is what it looks like. One of the things I love about this campsite is that it has mature trees, and you don't have to be on top of other campers. It gives you lots of room. This is what the group campsite looked like. The week that we were there, a bunch of scouts were there. But the campsite is exactly what you would expect at a campsite. Relatively flat land considering the terrain, and it's very shaded, lots of mature trees, absolutely beautiful. Well done with the campsite. Here's what comes with the campsite. You get a location to pitch your tent. There is a picnic table. You get a grill and a fire pit. I have been camping all throughout the United States, and I've stayed at dozens of campsites. And this is probably not the best bathroom I've ever seen. We're going to take a look at it right there. And if there's a downside to staying at Shenandoah River Outfitters, this is it. A lot of campsites have done premium bathroom where they tile it and it looks really nice. They have natural light coming into this bathroom, which is a plus. But however, that's it. You get water that is warm. It has a plunger, timed system. Don't like that. The floor is absolutely disgusting. The bathroom is probably the worst part about staying here. It does give you a sink though, so if you want to do stuff here, and it has a plug here for charging elements. But other than that, the bathroom, in my opinion, is horrific. Going into that was a shower. Going into the regular bathroom, again, not the best, nicest, cleanest camp bathroom you can find. It gets the job done. However, you want to get in and out of this place as soon as possible. It's not a place that you want to linger. It's disgusting in my opinion. The way you get to the river is by way of a bus, and you see the kayaks here that are loaded onto the bus, and then there's a bus driver. The bus driver is, again, beautiful because you're driving through the Shenandoah, up the hills and all that kind of stuff. And you would think the river would be maybe a faster moving river that has a greater amount of rapids, but as you'll see, not so much. The bus ride is partially where you get some of your safety instructions. And this is one of the big pluses. They're very, very big on safety. If you are new or a novice, you're not sure, or have never been kayaking before, they'll help walk you through, get you the right kayak that fits you, your body type and size and weight, and they'll make sure that you get on the river safely. This is our group, and as you'll see in a minute, there are people of all ages. You got some people who are pretty old in their mid-50s, and you got others as young as 8. All that to say, the river is really friendly. You're going to have a terrific time. You're going to see some beautiful, wonderful scenery. You're going to see people who are there having a great time, but it's really meant for folks of all ages. And as you can see right here, they're giving you the safety instructions again. They're talking through what you need to do. The biggest thing that you need to remember is when to get off the river. There are markers that count down each mile that you go down the river. If you miss your countdown marker mile, then you're going to miss your pickup point. And trying to pedal up the river is a challenge that you don't want to experience. Once they get you into your kayak, my biggest pro tip to you is to check it out. Make sure that the kayak fits your body well. Paddle around with it. The water they have when they drop you off is pretty calm. So you can go up and down the river and you can test to make sure that the kayak that you're in fits you. If not, just let them know and they will change it out to get you a kayak that's more suitable for your body type. If you have never been kayaking before, there are essentially 2 types of kayaks. There's kayaks that you actually sit on top of the kayak, and there's another type of kayak where you're inside the kayak. If you're concerned about turning over, get on the kayak that you're on top, because the one that you're on top of, if you turn over, you can just hop back on. If you're in one of the kayaks where you actually are immersed inside the kayak, then if the kayak turns over, the kayak is not necessarily going to sink, but it's not going to necessarily stay afloat. It's not going to help you in the water. And then you have to pull over and empty it out, which could be a chore all in and of itself. So my pro tip to you is get on one of the kayaks that you can actually sit on top of. One of the things I do enjoy about the Shenandoah River Outfitters is that they give you a variety of options. That you can do a canoe, you can do a tandem kayak, you can do a variety of different types of kayak, some that you sit in, others that you sit on top of. But they go through a lot of pain to make sure that not only you're safe, but also that the kayak fits you. And regardless of whether or not you want to go in or on top of a kayak, they have the kayak there that's right for you. If you're watching this far, then you're likely going to like the content on my channel. The best thing that you can do to help me grow my channel is to do 2 things. First is to like, the second is to subscribe. If you've liked what you've seen and heard so far, you're likely going to enjoy the content of my channel. I encourage you to do 2 things. Please like and subscribe. We are here on a Saturday, and as you're about to see, the Shenandoah River is quite busy. You're going to have people from all over the DC metropolitan area as well as the East Coast that come down here just to go kayaking. So it's going to be a relatively busy river. That's a good thing. Also, it's not very deep. That's a good and bad. Good in that you don't have to really worry about drowning so much. There are some really deep areas, but for the most part, it's fairly shallow. The bad thing about shallow water is that, you know, if the water level isn't very high, then your kayak or canoe or whatever your craft is going to get stuck. The ripples in the river occur because of the friction between the water running over the bottom. So this area right here is pretty shallow. Most of the river is shallow. But the good thing is that with it being so busy, if you run into a problem, you know, folks who are going to come and help are not going to be too far behind. A lot of folks come here to do one thing, and that's to go fishing. Fishing is allowed on the river. So if you want to do that, definitely bring your gear with you. You're likely going to catch something. We saw lots of folks fishing on the river. earlier in this broadcast, I mentioned that this waterway is good for everyone, kids and adults of all ages. One of the concerns I had was my 10-year-old son came with me, and I didn't know how he would handle the water. Now let's just take a look at how he handles this waterway. We're going to kill the music so you can hear exactly what it sounds like. So there you have it. What you saw should help you understand whether or not it's right for kids. Again, there were kids that were younger as well as older than my son. And as you can see here, he has no problem navigating the river. The distance that we traveled on the river was 12 miles. And at the end, I asked him, could you have done more? And his response to me was, absolutely. My next big concern was I did not want to be alone on the river. I'm not a great swimmer, so I had concerns about falling out of the boat and then being stranded or needing help and not being able to get it. But you can see just by this shot right here, the river is pretty crowded. Now, we were there on a weekend, and the weekend tends to have more people on the river. However, if you're there on the weekdays, it may be very different. But for us, there was quite a few people on the river, a good opportunity for you to make friends or talk to folks who have like-minded interests. So I really enjoyed the fact that we weren't alone on the river, and there were lots of people to keep us company. Another question you may have is, what kind of watercraft can you expect to see on the river? And for the most part, they're going to be kayaks. There were some canoes, and there are also lots of floats like what you're seeing here. In my opinion, the best mode of transportation on the river is going to be a kayak. The next question is, what kind of wildlife can you expect on the river? There are fish in the water, but the only kind of wildlife that we really saw were these ducks right here. And they were completely harmless. Of course, there's no place for you to stop and eat and drink on the river unless you arrange for that by the tour group that rent you the kayaks. So I'd recommend you bring lots of liquids, especially water. Also bring a lunch, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, something like that. And make sure you use a waterproof bag to store your gear. One of the things I really enjoyed about being on this river was how calm and relaxing it is. There's no real major rapids on this river, so there's no concern for you to feel like you're going to get into a dangerous situation. It's an extremely calm and relaxing, soothing ride almost. And you don't have to do a tremendous amount of paddling. You just have to really sit in the center of the river and let the current take you if you're in a kayak. Maybe a little bit of paddling, but it's really a relaxing experience. Throughout this entire broadcast, I've said a lot of things that are positive. The only negative I would say is this. Your experience is going to depend on the height of the water. If the water is too low, you're going to find yourself getting stuck a lot. However, if the water is high enough, then you're going to move pretty quickly and rapidly down. If you have a 12-mile trek, that's good. It takes a couple hours. A 19-mile trek, if you're in good shape, is also a good way to go. But definitely the number one thing you want to do is make sure you're fully hydrated and also check the water levels.